We continue then to, discuss the various facets about this important, election. We speak to various experts on just how to read, in some of the issues that we are seeing and hearing of on the ground, and also those that are monitoring some of these elections. So on that note, we are now joined by Chief Researcher and Center Manager at the CSIR Information and Cybersecurity Research Center, specifically Dr. Jabu Mtsweni. Dr. Mtsweni, thank you so much for your time. Of course, we're just getting, a sense of what's happening on the ground and also the role players, on this very important election. Just give us a sense then, in terms of the role that the CSIR plays in as far as this election is concerned. I'm particularly interested in the election prediction model and how that particularly works.
No, thank you, Unati, for inviting us, and we really appreciate it. So we have been doing this work, with SABC, as well as working with other partners as the CSIR. And our role in this specific election is about predicting or projecting the results, but also about social media monitoring, looking at the sentiment on the ground. Mm-hmm. Specifically on the model, this model has been deployed for quite many years, over 20 years, since 1999, where we look at voter patterns using the results of the previous elections in 2019, and looking across all the 23,000 voting districts just to understand how people vote, within those particular districts. And we'll generally then come up with about 20 clusters of patterns, and we then use that as the IEC will be releasing the results to then start projecting, in terms of saying how will a specific party, fare within this particular election. And over time, our model has been pretty close in terms of projecting the elections as close as possible.
So you look at the previous elections numbers. In as far as this election is concerned, when are you likely then to start gauging and picking up the data from this particular election? I mean, at the moment, people are still casting their votes, and at the end of the day, around about 9 p.m., that's when we're expecting the IEC authorities to then start tallying some of those votes, and that's when we'll start seeing those numbers coming up.
For sure. So the model, the way it is built, is that after about 5% of the votes have been declared, and normally those will obviously start coming in after the voting stations have closed, and then probably early morning, our model will start now sort of like doing some work with regards to knowing what is happening within the various districts, provinces, as well as at the national level. Of course, as I said, we work very closely with the SABC on this, and I'm sure you would be the first to know when the results come out.
So, and I mean, we are at the center, right? So I would imagine that's where all political parties will then be converging to watch that monitor, behind us very closely, because those numbers will then be coming in. So you're looking at around about early hours of this morning then for those numbers to start trickling in?
For sure, yeah. So we will look at when the 5% of the voting districts, we have a sense that, those votes from those districts have been confirmed, and then our model will then start to tell, where the trends are going, what is currently happening, what we see as the end results, maybe come Sunday.
And from, past predictions and also just your modeling, I mean, how close to the actual results are you? I mean, how credible then is the system that you are using?
Look, I think 98% from just the scientific point of view, the model has been very accurate. But just to give you an example, in 2019, obviously looking at the top 3 parties, our error margin was very, very low, something like 0.2 or so in certain instances, and across these large parties. So we are confident because the model has been here for a long time, and it's data driven, so we rely on a lot of data, and as the data comes in, we then fine tune it. And the more the data, the better the model. And because it's scientific, right? It's not just based on feelings and sentiments. We think the accuracy which we have achieved so far is quite good, and 2% error margin within this is not bad at all.
All right. So in as far as your role in monitoring social media, I mean, already, just before the elections happened, during the special voting, we saw misinformation, disinformation already trickling in social media, where there's a lot of confusion on important things, I might add, too, that pertains to this election. What then is your role there in as far as monitoring developments on social media?
I think the first critical aspect, of course, is for us to be aware what is happening, on social media. And I think one of the critical points we need to be aware of is that over the years, South Africans have been sort of getting into the digital space. We have almost over 25 million people now, which is almost close to the eligible voters, who have access to social media, whether it's your WhatsApp, your TikTok, your Twitter, and the likes. And because of that, we do constant monitoring on a daily basis, hourly basis, to understand what the trends are. And then, of course, because social media allows anybody, to post information, then you get this issue of misinformation and disinformation, which sometimes can be used to the detriment of the free and fair elections. And we are seeing a lot of that, which some of it you may have picked up. Some of it is just misinformation, where people are misinformed, but some of it may be just malicious, where people want to discredit the election and maybe even discredit the results before they come out.